This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com and GatheringMagic.com, your place to explore the game.
Hi, I'm Eric, and this is my Omnath Locus of Rage deck. This is Omnath. He is a 5/5 red and green elemental for 7 with landfall. That when a land enters the battlefield, I put a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token into play. And he also has when he or another elemental dies, they lightning bolt something. So this whole deck is based around making your land drops and has a pseudo elemental theme to it. Now with the lands, we've got 40 lands to play with, and with the basics, we've got 10 forests, 8 mountains, 3 snow-covered forests, and 3 snow-covered mountains. Now, with landfall decks, it's good to make your land drops. So there's a few fetch lands in here. They count for 2 land drops, so it's awesome. I've got Terramorphic Expanse, Wooded Foothills, Blighted Woodland, Mountain Valley, and Thawing Glaciers. Thawing Glaciers comes into play tapped, and you pay 1 and tap it. Search your library for a basic land, put it into play tapped. At the beginning of the next end step, you return it to your hand. So this is also a bounce land. So you can play this multiple times, and it keeps triggering the landfall. Same with Undiscovered Paradise. It returns itself to your hand after you use it. Ghost Town, you can return it to your hand during an opponent's turn. Now we got the multiple mana producing lands like Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. There's a lot of green mana in this deck, green devotion in this deck. Temple of the False God, just because it's commander. Gruul Turf, Command Tower. Well, Command Tower starts the multicolor ones. Got Command Tower, Stomping Ground, Highland Weald, Cinder Glade, and a little bit more utility lands with Mosswort Bridge. Kessig Wolf Run, and that's all the lands. Now, to get the lands out, we have a little bit of mana ramp, and so with that, we've got Yavimaya Elder, lets you get your land drops, puts 2 lands in your hand, draws you a card. Corsair Crewfix, it's essentially a landfall card, but it gives you a little bit more access to your lands. Titania, gives you another land. Oh, get you one of the fetch lands back from your graveyard to your hand. And also produces elemental tokens for Omnath's second ability. Silverglade Elemental, also an elemental. Gets you a forest into play. Oracle Mul Daya, you get an extra land drop a turn. And also play from the top of your library. Budoka Gardener, lets you play an extra land every turn, and once you get to 10, he flips, and when he flips, he puts in elemental tokens. So there's more elementals for Omnath. Khalni Gem returns 2 of your lands to your hand, so you get extra land drops and aren't slowing yourself down at all. Sylvan Scrying gets you a land you need. Most of the time I'll be searching for Thawing Glaciers with this. Into the north gets you a snow-covered land, a snow land. I used to just have the Highland Weald in here for this, but more often than not, I would have the Highland Weald before I got this, so that's why I added the 6 snow-covered basics. Scapeshift just gives you a bunch of land drops at one time. Landfall triggers. Burgeoning, if you have this on turn 1 and a handful of lands, you're going to be fine getting Omnath out, maybe turn 2 or 3. Explosive Vegetation, get you 2 landfall triggers. And also, it's just ramp if you need it. Same with Cultivate. Mana Bond. It's for when you just get a lot of lands in your hand. There's a card in here that'll do that in a bit, but there are a lot of lands in this deck, so being flooded, just having a whole bunch of lands in your hand will work with that card. This puts a land in the graveyard for Titania, and also gets you 2 more lands. Temple Discovery. Most of the time you will be, depending on how many people you're playing with, you will be searching for more than 1 land. Now we got Avenger of the Zendikar. He just pumps out a bunch of tokens, and tokens are always good. Every time you have a creature in the battlefield, this Gruul Ragebeast helps remove pesky creatures your opponents have. Got Chameleon Colossus just because it's good. I've always liked this card ever since it came out. That's just why it's in here. Acidic Slime. It's commander. Everybody uses it if you're running green. It just destroys something. Now, with all the deck searching and thinning that this deck does, I thought Panglacial Wurm would just be a fun addition. You just crack a fetch land, pay 7 mana, got yourself a worm. Rampaging Baloths, just more creature token for landfall. Thunderfoot Baloth, he gives all your dudes trample if you have him and Omnath on the field at the same time. Legion of the Tangle, again another card I've loved since it came out. He turns a bunch of lands into elemental, so if someone board wipes, you've just got a bunch of bolt triggers, and I mean you'll be out a bunch of lands, but yeah. Ogre Battledriver, give all your tokens haste and a little pump. And this comes in handy every once in a while. Omnath, Locus of Mana. It helps you save mana, because there's a lot of times where you'll have a bunch of lands with nothing to do. And just throw them into this, save them for our next spell. Khalni Hydra. Most of the time you'll be casting this for nothing. It's just an 8/8 for 0. So it's always good. Xenagod, just because he's Xenagod, he's indestructible, he pumps one of your creatures. Thicket Elemental, pay 7 mana, get a free creature. Most of the creatures in here impact the board pretty well. Solemn Simulacrum, it's EDH, everybody uses it. Incandescent Soulstoke, like I said, there's a pseudo-elemental theme here. And there's a bunch of elemental creatures in it, so being able to drop one and just swing for the fences is good. Rakamar produces elemental tokens, and it has haste. And those tokens die relatively easily, so it will trigger off Omnath. Vigor is in here because A, he's an elemental, and B, he helps with the damage-based board wipes, like Blasphemous Act, and just it's fun just to have someone cast Blasphemous Act and you cord into a Vigor. With all the tokens, Perforos is in here because with all the tokens coming out, it's nice to shock all your opponents every time you play a land. Stalking Vengeance is in here. All the crowd creatures are pretty big, like power-wise, so that's a lot of damage every time someone kills one. Same with Warstorm Surge. Every time a 5/5 elemental comes into play, you get to lightning axe somebody. Group Primal Hunter produces tokens, and his ultimate, you get 6/6 Worms tokens for each land you control, which hopefully by that time will be a lot. Now this deck need a little bit of card draw, so Shamanic Revelation is in here, and this also gains you a hell of a lot of life. Triumph of the Hordes is a fun win condition with all the big tokens that you have in here, giving them trample and infect. It ends the game pretty quickly. I haven't lost a game where I've landed a Triumph of the Hordes. Green Sun Zenith is just a tutor. Everybody uses it. Same with Court of Calling. Xenagos produces mana, and his ultimate, you get to play all the lands and creatures in your top 7 cards. So that's good. Insurrection, again, if I ever play this card, I'm probably going to win. Hammer of Perforos, it utilizes the lands I might not be using in late game, and also gives all my dudes haste. Genesis Wave is fun. It is a really good X spell to throw mana into. You get the land drops, the creatures, all the landfall triggers. It's fun. Rude Awakening, it turns your lands into creatures, if they're not already with Liege of the Tangle, and it's fun. Now we got Soul Ring, just because it's commander. There aren't a lot of instances in this deck. I mean, we've got Court of Calling, Harrow, and Chaos Warp. So Price of Glory really helps against decks that like to counter. If they want to counter one of your things, they get rid of the lands they used to play it. Creeping Renaissance, with all the lands going to the graveyard, this is a nice way to refill your hand. Just name land and all your lands in your graveyard go back to your hand. Hull Breach, it destroys artifact and or an enchantment. Zendikar Royal, more ways to utilize the lands entering the battlefield, just another landfall card. We got Decimate, it destroys an artifact, creature, land, and enchantment. So that's pretty good for 4 mana. Tempt with Vengeance, you get just another X spell. You get a bunch of little hasty elemental tokens, which still trigger off of Omnath. And if your opponents want some, you get more. It's a fun card. Chaos Warp, just because it's commander. Always like getting rid of pesky things. Predatory Focus, another card where if I ever play it, I'm probably going to win. It lets your creatures deal damage to the defending player as though it weren't blocked. Elemental Bond, we've got a bunch of creatures coming into play. They're usually 3 power or more, so this is just some more card draw. We got Rolling Earthquake, which is our board wipe. Just deals X damage to each creature and each player. And I mean, no one runs horsemanship, so that's effectively what this card reads. Got Beastmaster Ascension, just because it's a really good card. You get creatures out really fast, so this makes them big quick. Then last card is Savage Twister. It's another board wipe for us. Just deals X damage to each creature. And that is it. Thank you for watching CMDR decks. Please favorite and subscribe.